Hi, I'm Cher, the Shadow Walker, and I'm taking a look at cryptid encounters in the past 72 hours in the Prairie provinces of Canada and the Midwest of the United States. I'm going to start today with North Dakota. In the past 72 hours, I bumped it to 72 because things have been a little bit quiet. It's because they're nesting at this time of the year. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, in the Pambrina Gorge State Recreation Area near the Canadian border at 10:15 p.m. on April 6th. This is a late season camper, it says. The witness reported a series of heavy thumps against the shell of their camper. Upon looking out, they saw a massive, wide shouldered figure, estimated at 8 feet tall, retreating into the brush. The witness described a strong, musky odor and a report of hearing a guttural chatter coming from the wood line for several minutes afterwards. And they reported it to the Regional Wildlife Sightings and the North American Plains Cryptid Log. And in Theodore Roosevelt National Park, a dogman was sighted at 3:20 a.m. on April 6th. Two people, backcountry researchers. While monitoring wildlife movement, the researchers spotted a canine-headed humanoid crouched near the water source. It rose to a full bipedal height and looked directly at the thermal image gear. The witness noted the creature had an unnatural proportion, specifically very long arms and a narrow waist. It moved away with a lope that shifted from 2 legs to 4, and they reported it to the regional file for sightings. And a hellhound in the outskirts of Bismarck at 1:40 a.m. on April 6th, and this is a night shift worker. They encountered a jet black, abnormally large dog, and it was seen sitting in a rural road in kind of off center. The witness stated it had glowing eyes with a steady orange red, and it did not flicker. As the vehicle lights hit the creature, it did not run. It appeared to sink into the asphalt and vanish. Sometimes, when you see these, because I'm not aware of this, familiar with the area that it was in right there, if you go back, if you're the person that's seen this or you know of this area, look back in history and see what happened there, because that will give you a tell as to why it was there. In Minnesota, in the past 42 hours, in the Whitewater State Park region, Winona County, they say a Bray Road type sighting. We all know about the Bray Roads. And at 11:15 on April 6th, two people, and they were night hikers, witnesses reported a wolf-headed humanoid standing near the edge of a limestone bluff. They described it as having massive muscular chest and glowing yellow eyes. The creature let out a low growl that felt like it was vibrating the air. So kind of like a lion if you've ever been out there with them. Before dropping to all fours and sprinting down a nearly vertical incline towards the valley floor. And they reported it to the Minnesota Cryptid researchers and to the Dogman Canada file. And a Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, in the Superior National Forest near Eli at 3:40 a.m. on April 7th. This is a local trapper. A large, dark figure was spotted moving through the swampy thicket. The witness reported finding a series of 17-inch footprints in the mud following morning. The tracks showed a distinct metatarsal break, and the stride exceeded any stride that a human could do by nearly double. And they reported it to the regional wildlife sightings. And a hellhound in the Rum River area at 2:10 a.m. on April 6th. This is one person encountered a jet black canine with burning red eyes pacing the perimeter of a woodside industrial site. The witness noticed the creature made no sound even when moving over the dry leaves and deadfall. It vanished instantly when the witness attempted to capture it on a handheld thermal unit. The unit showed a cold spot but no heat, and they reported it to the local security log, and then it was flagged to the hellhound file. In Ohio, over the past 72 hours, a Bigfoot, and they bracketed as grassman, so maybe that's a preference down there for it, in the Portage County area, a wooded trail area near Manitoua Center in Garrettsville at 9:10 p.m. on April 6, two people, local residents, following a cluster of activities in March, a new sighting was reported of a 7-foot, more human-looking like ape-like creature. The witness described it as having a dark, shaggy coat and moving with a stiff, stilt gait. The gait where it turned in its entire torso rather than just its neck. No vocalizations were reported in this specific instance, but the witness mentioned an overwhelming sense of being watched. There's probably more than one in the area. And they reported it to the regional Bigfoot research. And in the Summit County area, there was a sighting of a dog man at 2:15 on April the 7th. One person, as a landowner, encountered a massive black dog that materialized near the outbuilding. Upon a closer inspection with a flashlight, the figure was identified as a large, canine-headed humanoid standing approximately 7 feet tall. It reportedly hopped a 4-foot fence effortlessly without touching the top rails and disappeared into the brush on two legs, and they reported it to the Ohio Dogman Research Group. And a hellhound in Hawkins Hills area, the region near Logan. And it was at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, and it was two people. They were private security, and they reported an encounter with a massive jet black canine with burning yellow and red eyes, pacing the edge of a ravine. The security team noted that the creature was dead silent and appeared to flicker in and out of sight when viewed through their binoculars, and it left no tracks in the soft sand of the trail, and they reported it to the local security log, and then it was flagged to the hellhound file. And finally, a mothman. We haven't seen anywhere across in all these I've been doing. It was in the Ohio River border area near Point Pleasant, and it was at 11:45 on April 5th, and it was a lone truck driver while crossing toward West Virginia border. The witness reported a large winged figure perched atop a power line pylon. The witness described the glowing red eyes the size of a bicycle reflectors. The figure reportedly took flight as the truck passed, banking sharply towards the TNT area crossing the river, and they reported it as the Atlantic Digital Scanner File. Heading over to the prairies of Canada, and we're going to start with Manitoba over the past 72 hours. There was a Bigfoot sighting in Norway House Cree Nation / Nelson River area at 10:40 on April the 6th. Two ferry operators, a dark humanoid-like figure estimated 9 feet, spotted moving along the riverbank. The witness described the creature as having a massive barrel-shaped chest and long, shaggy hair that appeared to be wet. It exhibited orange eye reflective before stepping into the thick brush. It didn't say they were operating the ferry, it just said they were working there. And a dog man in the Interlake region near Riverton at 2:15 a.m. on April the 7th. One person was a transport driver. He encountered a 7-foot tall figure standing on the shoulder of Route 8. As the headlights hit it, the creature turned its head and described as having a long snout and pointed ears, and then crossed the road in two powerful bipedal leaps. The witness reported a sudden, overwhelming fear of dread, and that lasted for several minutes after the encounter, and they reported it to the regional digital scanners and the Dogman File of Canada. And a hellhound in the Woodbridge area, southeast of Manitoba, at 1:30 a.m. on April 6th, two people, local residents, reported a jet black, oversized canine pacing the edge of their property near Sandlands Provincial Park. The witness noted that the creature had burning red eyes and moved with a silent, gliding gait that left no tracks in the spring mud. It vanished when the motion-activated security light was triggered, and it was on the local community log, and it was flagged on the Hellhound File. In Saskatchewan over the last 72 hours, the St. Louis Lights area, skinwalker activity. In the village of St. Louis, an abandoned rail line corridor, At 12:20 a.m. on April 7th, three people, local observers, witnesses, encountered high-intensity white light that pulsed and changed into a deep blue-orange U while moving along the old rail line. One of note, one observer reported a shadowy canine-like figure standing just outside the light's radius that appeared to mimic the movement of the person walking beside it. And they reported it to the Saskatchewan Community Log File. And in the Burning Hills area, Zuby, that's Bigfoot, in the south central Saskatchewan area at 9:10 p.m. on April 6th, a rancher, one person, reported a massive bipedal figure standing on the edge of the ridgeline. The witness noted the figure was harassing a small herd of cattle by throwing large stones from the high ground. When the witness fired a warning shot into the air, the creature retreated with a high-pitched chattering scream, and they reported it to the Regional Wildlife Observation and to the Northern Plains Cryptid File. And a hellhound, or rougarou, that's what I was told when I was young, they were rougarous, in the St. Lawrence region, at 2:45 on April 6th, two people reported a jet black oversized canine with unnatural burning eyes pacing the perimeter of a historical site. The security team noted the creature was dead silent and appeared to glide over debris without making a sound. It vanished when high beam spotlights were trained upon the area. And they reported it to the Hellhound file and to the local security log. And in Alberta, over the past 72 hours, in the David Thompson Highway near Abraham Lake at 10:45 on April the 6th, night commuters, two of them, they encountered a massive upright figure spotted on the shoulder of the highway. The witnesses described the fluid-moving creature with massive shoulders and no visible neck. It made a sharp 90-degree turn when the headlights hit it and stepped over a deep ditch into the tree line. The witnesses reported that the creature's coat appeared dark as a shadow, even under direct light, and they reported it to the Regional Wildlife Sightings File. And a dogman in the Horsethief Canyon here in Drumheller at 1:15 a.m. on April 7th. One person, a local traveler, encountered a 7-foot-tall canine-headed humanoid standing on one of the canyon's clay ridges. The witness reported the orange amber eyes shining and the soul reading sensation of being heavily observed. The creature reportedly let out a deep vibrational chest growl before dropping to all fours and disappearing into the coulees with impossible speed, and they reported it to the Dogman File of Canada. And also in the Badlands / Wayne area over in Rosebud, that's where the famous hotel is there. At 3:30 a.m. on April 6th, two people reported a jet black canine the size of a small horse pacing the perimeter of a fence service site. The witness noticed the creature left no tracks in the soft spring mud, excuse me, and appeared immune to infrared. When they attempted to track it with a digital optics, it vanished instantly when engaged in floodlights. And they reported it to the Hellhound File. That's an area over there, that saloon that's over there is very famous to go into. And we drive that area quite frequently just to check out to see if we see anything. And frankly, with all the hoodoos on both sides, I call them mini mountains because some of them are actually over 150 feet tall. So when you're looking at them, there's a lot of like crevettes and there's a lot of caves in there that they can disappear into. So it's kind of an interesting area if you get a chance to go to. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, if you're out there on any of the trails across Canada or the United States, don't be alone. Take a GPS tracker with you and at least 4 people, and have a wonderful day. And thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your time.